Hello students, how are you? Hope all of you are keeping well at home. So be safe at home and welcome back to your chemistry online class. As we know that we have completed the chapter first and now we are going to start the chapter second of chemistry, that it changes in the world around us, the changes which we see in our surroundings. So in this chapter we are going to study about the changes, the different categories of the changes which we have seen in our surroundings. So let's start. So first is, what is change? Change can be defined as alteration in physical and chemical properties of matter which give a new shape and new properties to it. So in simply we can say changes can be defined alteration in physical or chemical properties. You know very well there are two kind of changes, physical changes and chemical changes. So if there is alteration in physical properties, so there will be a physical change, and if there is alteration in chemical properties, so there will be a chemical change. What is the physical properties and what is chemical properties. Physical properties like change in shape, size, color, state and composition, these all are the physical properties. And chemical properties are reactivity with other element, enthalpy, oxidation state, etc. So these are the physical and chemical properties. Then we come to the next point, classification of changes. So changes are classified into following types. First is natural change. So what is natural change? Change which take place by nature are known as natural change. It's very simple. Changes which take place by the nature is called natural changes. For example, change in weather and flowering of plants. So when there is a change in weather, we call it as a natural change, and flowering of plants because it take place by the nature, so it is the natural change. Then the next type of change is man-made changes. As the name show, the changes that take place due to the activities of man are called man-made changes, like burning of fuels, making of chapatis and formation of curd. You can see these all are changes by the activities of man, like making of chapatis at your home. You see many times the making of chapati is going on. So this is the man-made activities because the changes are taking place by the activities of man. Then periodic and non-periodic changes. The changes that occur after a fixed interval of time called the periodic changes. For example, phenomenon of day and night. You know, day and night, there is a fixed interval, fixed timing between them. So it is a periodic change. And non-periodic change, changes that may take place at any time, they are called non-periodic changes. Means there is no fixed interval of time. The changes can take place at any time. So they are called non-periodic changes. For example, rusting of iron and breaking of glass. So for example, you can understand easily. Then we come to the desirable changes. As the name suggests, the changes which are useful is called desirable, like ripening of fruits. It is useful, and drying clothes. So you can see in both of the examples, ripening of fruits and drying clothes, it is useful. So it is desirable change. And undesirable, the changes which are harmful to us, we call undesirable changes, like spoiling of food stuff and breaking of a glass. So you know, spoiling of food stuff is harmful to us. We never take spoiled food. So it is undesirable changes. You can see in the picture, flowering of plants. Which kind of changes? Natural changes. Spoilage of food, undesirable. Rusting of iron, non-periodic. Breaking of glass, undesirable. Then drying of cloths, desirable. So in this picture you can see all the changes are there. Then we come to the next category, that is fast changes. As the name suggests, the changes which occur in a short duration of time are called fast changes, like burning of a paper and burning of a matchstick. You can do it at your home. If you burn a paper, so it take very short time. In very short time, the paper will burn. And if you going to burn a matchstick, so in very short time, matchstick will burn. So this all are called fast changes. Slow changes, the changes which take longer duration of time for their completion are called slow changes, like formation of curd from milk and rusting of iron. You know, when we go to make curd from milk, so it takes a long time. We can't make in a short period of time. When we make curd from milk, so it takes overnight or more than overnight sometimes. So it's a slow changes because it take a long duration of time. Same the rusting of iron. You see, when you left iron in open, so there is a rust on iron. So when rust is formed, when iron react with water and moisture, so there is a iron oxide. Rust is a layer of iron oxide which is formed on the upper surface of the metal or iron. So we call this rusting of iron. Then reversible changes. A changes is reversible if the substance can brought back to their original form after the occurrence of change. So what is the reversible change? If after the change we brought back the original substance, so this is reversible. And if after the change we can't brought back the original substance, so it is irreversible. Like evaporation of water. Evaporation of water is an example of reversible, because liquid, in the presence of heat, liquid converts into the vapor. All of you know very well what is evaporation. When liquid converts into vapor or liquid convert into the gaseous state, it is called the evaporation. So in evaporation, liquid convert into the vapor, water is steam, and when we cool these vapors, so we will get water again. So it is an example of reversible because we can brought back the original substance again. And sublimation is also an example of reversible changes, because ammonium chloride in sublimation. So first I want to explain what is sublimation. Sublimation is a process in which solid directly changes into the gaseous state. There is no intermediate state. Solid directly changes into the gaseous state. So ammonium chloride, when ammonium chloride change into the gaseous state, again it can change into the solid state, vice versa. So it is an example of reversible reaction, because in those reaction we brought back the substances into their original form. Then we come to the next point, physical changes. As the name suggests, a physical change is one in which the substance undergoing the change is not destroyed. In physical changes, only physical properties will change. There is no change in the chemical properties. Example, water conversion of water conversion into water steam. So you can say only physical property is going to change. Water liquid state convert into the gaseous state. No chemical properties will change. The chemical composition of the water is still same, and we can brought back the original substance. Breaking of chalk stick, you can see no chemical composition will change, so only physical properties will change. So these all are the example of the physical changes. And glowing of an electric bulb. So in physical change, only physical properties will change. Chemical change, in which new substance with new properties are formed, because the chemical properties of substance will change, so new substance with new properties are formed. Example, burning of paper. If you burn a paper, so it will convert into the ash, means it will convert into a new substance and it has a new properties. You can't brought back the paper again. So it is a chemical change. Drying of cloth, rusting of iron. I have already explained you in the previous slide that rusting of iron, the layer of iron oxide on the upper part of the iron. So the chemical properties change. Iron convert into the iron oxide, and we can never brought back the iron again. So these all are the chemical changes. Burning of wood, burning of magnesium, souring of milk. If milk will sour, we can't brought back the milk again. So it's a chemical change. Burning of a candle, cooking of food. If we cook the food, we can't brought back the raw food again or raw vegetable again. So these all are the chemical changes. So physical changes are reversible, but chemical changes are not reversible. Then we come to the next point, difference between physical and chemical changes. So in this you can very well understand what is the difference between physical and chemical changes. You can see in the diagram as well. Ice cube converted to water, physical change. Breaking of chalk, drying of cloths and burning of a paper is chemical change. So only physical state and physical properties will change, as I have explained you earlier. And in chemical changes, physical and chemical both properties will change. In physical change, only physical properties will change, but in chemical, physical and chemical both properties will change. The original substance does not lose its identity. The original substance lose its chemical identity. Yes, in physical change, we can brought back the original substance. Means the original substance will not lose its identity. But in chemical change, we can't brought back the original substance. So the original substance, we lose the original substance. No new substance are formed. In physical changes, no new substance formed, but in chemical change, new substances are formed. The change is temporary and it many causes the original state is restored. The change is usually permanent. As I have explained you earlier, the physical changes is temporary, or we can say reversible change. We brought back the original substance or the original state is restored. But in chemical change, it is permanent. Original state cannot be restored. Means we can't brought back the original substance. The example of physical change is changing of water into ice and the chemical burning of paper. So you can see in the diagram, ice convert into the water, and when we freeze it, we can also convert water into the ice. So it is reversible change. Only physical properties is change. So this is a physical change. And then we come to the burning of a paper. You can see when we burn, it will convert into the ash. So new substance will form and we can't brought back its original state. So this is chemical change. So now you can understand the basic difference between the physical and chemical changes. The next topic is changes involve energy. We are going to study the changes which involve energy. So first is endothermic changes. The change during which the heat is absorbed are called endothermic. So in which heat is absorbed we call endothermic, and in which heat is released we call exothermics. So there are two kind of changes, endothermic changes and exothermic changes. So the change during which heat is absorbed we call endothermic changes. For example, if you put a small amount of glucose on your tongue, it dissolve and your tongue feel cool. So this is an example. If you put a small amount of glucose on your tongue, so the heat is absorbed and your tongue feel cool. So this is an example of endothermic change. In an exothermic changes, the heat will release or liberated. The example is cooking of food and slaking of lime. If we cook the food, so the heat is released. We can see at home, if we cook the food, all of you have seen. So heat is out, heat is liberated. This is called the exothermic changes. And the another example of this, slaking of lime. When we put lime into the water, so the lot of heat is generated. You can see at your home, this is a very good example of exothermic changes. When we are going to whitewash the walls, so we do it. We slake the lime in water and lots of heat is liberated or generated. So this is the example of exothermic changes. Then we come to the evaporation. What is evaporation? The process in which liquid changes into vapor is known as evaporation. Simply, the process in which liquid change into the vapor state, it is called the evaporation. Effect of increasing temperature on evaporation. When temperature is increased, the particles gain a more energy and begin to vibrate more rapidly. So as a result, when temperature will increase, evaporation will also increase. You can see in this diagram the evaporation. The evaporation of water of the sea, it converted into the vapor state. So you can see very well in this diagram. This is the evaporation, and with this diagram you can understand very well. And also there is a state, liquid state. In liquid state there is a less kinetic energy. All of you know that the highest kinetic energy in the gaseous state. So in liquid state there is a less kinetic energy. When we give heat to the liquid state, so it converted into the vapor state or gaseous state, so kinetic energy will increase because kinetic energy is highest in the gaseous state. So when liquid convert into the gaseous state, the kinetic energy will increase, and because of that evaporation will also increase. Then the next point is boiling. The constant temperature at which liquid changes into the vapor is known as the boiling point, and the phenomenon is referred as boiling. So the constant temperature you can see in the diagram. When we heat the liquid, the constant temperature at which liquid changes into the vapor, it's called the boiling point, and this process we call the boiling. Then condensation, the process in which gas changes to liquid by giving out heat is known as condensation. So in simple language you can understand, when liquid converts into the vapor, so temperature is known as the boiling point, and when this vapors again cool down and convert into the liquid, this is called the condensation. So these both terms are very important. So you have to learn these terms, and especially the difference between the terms, what is boiling and what is condensation. In condensation take place when the temperature is decreased. It is very important. When condensation happen, then when temperature is decreased. So you can see by example, if we cool down the vapor, so it convert into the liquid. So when temperature is decreased, it convert into the liquid, and this is called condensation. So you can do a practical at your home. So by this practical you can understand very well. This can be seen when a glass is full with ice cube. You can see in the diagram, the glass is full with the ice cube. When it converts into the liquid, the water droplets you can see outside of the glass. So it is the example of condensation. Then dissolution, the process in which a substance mixed thoroughly in another substance is known as dissolution. In simple words, you can understand, when one substance completely dissolve in another substance, or when one substance completely mix with another substance, we call it dissolution. Like example, salt in water. If we going to dissolve salt in water, you see salt is completely dissolved in water. You can't see salt and water separate. When you make a solution, you can't see salt and water separate. It's make a solution, means salt completely dissolves in water. So this is the example of dissolution. Then factors affecting dissolution. What factors affecting dissolution? First, temperature. When we increase the temperature, dissolution will increase. Then string. Greater the string, more the dissolution. If we do the string, dissolution will increase. Then concentration of the solvent. More is the concentration of the solvent, less is the dissolution. You can see in this in practical at your home. If you going to add salt in water, first you make a solution. Then if you want to again add salt in the water, after some time it will not dissolve. Some salt you can see in the bottom of the pot. so all the salt will not dissolve. So if you increase the concentration, if you add more salt in the water, the dissolution will decrease. So these are the factors which affecting the dissolution. Then we come to the next point. The next point is freezing. What is freezing? You know very well, these are very common terms. The process in which a liquid substance loses its heat and gets converted into the solid state is known as freezing. We can understand it by the example of a water. Okay, when we convert water into the ice, so what will happen? Water loses its heat and converted into the ice, which is solid state. So this is known as freezing. When a liquid substance loses its heat and get converted into the solid state, this is called the freezing. Melting, the process in which a solid get converted into the liquid. When solid get converted into the liquid, it's called melting. The important point is here, in the process of freezing, the substance loses heat, but in the process of melting, the substance absorbs heat and get converted into the liquid state. The next point is rusting. It's very important. You can see rusting in iron. Many of you have seen the rusting. So the process in which iron forms a layer of powdered iron oxide, I have explained you earlier, over the presence of air and water is known as rusting. The process in which iron forms a layer of iron oxide in the presence of water and air means moisture, because moisture is present in the air. So in water and moisture, this is called rusting. This rust is loosely attached to the metal surface and gets removed easily. You can you see many times when we want to remove the rust from the iron, so we can do it easily. And the rusting can be defined as the slow eating away of metal. So it is very important. Remember this. Rusting is known as the slow eating away of metal because it's a very slow process. So rusting is known as the slow eating away of metal. Then the next process is burning. The process in which substance burns in oxygen to give off heat and light is known as burning. All of you know very well that for burning, oxygen is very necessary. We can't burn anything in the absence of oxygen. So when burning, what is burning? The process in which a substance burns in the presence of oxygen, because in the absence of oxygen no substance can burn. So in process in which substance burns in the oxygen to give off heat and light. When any substance burn, there will be a heat and light is known as burning. And burning is a fast process and take place at high temperature. So there are 2 points, thus burning is a fast process and burning always take place at high temperature. You can also understand this by doing a practical at your home. You burn a candle. After some time, put a glass over it and you see the candle will not able to burn because there is a lacking of oxygen. So burning process is always going in the presence of oxygen. If there is less oxygen or if there is absence of oxygen, burning procedure cannot be done. The difference between burning and respiration. Burning is a fast process, respiration is a slow process. Second point, burning take place at higher temperature. As I taught you earlier in previous slide, that burning always take place at higher temperature. Respiration take place at body temperature. We respire, so respiration take place at body temperature. Burning take place for combustible substances. Respiration take place in living organisms. So combustible substance will burn, but respiration take place in living organism. All living organism respire and do respiration. Burning do not involve any enzymes. Enzymes are biocatalysts and these are required for respiration. So you know very well there is no requirement of enzymes in burning, but in the process of respiration, enzymes are work as a biocatalyst. So these are required in respiration. The next difference or comparison between rusting and burning. Rusting is a slow process, we know. Burning is a fast process. Rusting take place at room temperature, burning take place at higher temperature. Rusting take place on metal substances, burning take place for combustible substances. We know rusting take place on metal. When we leave metal in open, so metal react with air and water, and there is a moisture present in the air. So metal react with moisture and water and form a layer of rust, which is iron oxide. So metal rusting always take place on the metal surfaces, and burning take place for combustible substances. So here the chapter is closed, and I have completed the chapter 2nd. Then go through it, and if you have any doubt, so watch again and again so you can clear your doubts. And we have completed the chapter 2nd, and the next class we will start the next chapter. Okay, thank you, have a nice day.